got to figure out how to, I guess I'll have to log in twice, once from my phone. See, hold on.
Okay. Talk right now. Like using.
Wait, what? Sorry, I put these down.
I want to hear what the mic from the laptop sounds like.
Oh, okay. I'll unplug it right now.
Yeah, give me
This
a
is the
test.
laptop.
Okay, it doesn't sound that different. Okay, try the earphones, the Apple ones. Can you hear me? Test,
Yes, I
test.
can hear you now. I think my computer froze for a second. This is
Oh,
my
okay.
laptop.
Okay. Yeah, it's a little echoey, so let's try I just want to get it as clear as possible.
No, I agree.
All right, test, test. Can you hear me in there?
Yes. Oh, no, not yet. Not yet. Hang on. It's joining the meeting. And then I'll mute this one so I can see you.
Okay, so this video goes up on YouTube. So if you can get the video with the matching audio, is that possible?
Yeah, but
Okay.
it'll just be from my phone.
Okay.
Is this on YouTube?
If you don't want me to, that's fine. I'll just do the basic audio.
I'm kidding. I probably need a better background or something. I'm sitting in this like office that's bright and
So we are getting you on your phone. Okay, so I have both of them up. Okay, there's your phone. Which one? That one looks good.
yeah, this is better like picture wise, I guess. But what about the sound? Can you hear me through the headphones?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Is that better?
It is a little bit, but somehow I don't think that's what's picking you up. It's not clear. So I'm wondering if your laptop's still picking you up. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm echoing.
Hang on, I gotta delete. I gotta leave this computer thing. There's a bad reverb. Okay.
Okay, excellent. And your phone picture looks really good. It's lighting, the lighting's good. Yeah, awesome.
Well, here's the deal though. I'm holding it with my hands. I'm trying to figure out what I could prop it up with so I don't have, well, I guess I can't because of the.
Yeah, go ahead and prop it up just so you're comfortable. If there's a way to, yeah, there we go. That looks good.
Let's see. Not used to doing, no, that's too, I'll just try to hold it, I guess.
Take your time. No, you're good. We only need about 45 minutes, so you're good.
What else can I prop it on? This feel, but it definitely looks up a little. I wish I could I know what I can do. I can raise my desk.
There you go. Oh, that's cool. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's
not
great.
As good though.
No, it looks good.
I can't see it except the corner screen. Sound? Okay.
Yeah, I think that looks good.
Is there a way to put a backdrop so I don't have this board in my background? Or
yeah, your Zoom, well, if you want, is there a blank space wall to behind you? If you want to just shift a little?
No, I've got a window.
Or that corner right there.
Okay, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Maybe. There's still a window. I guess it's better than the other one. Okay.
That's great. That looks great. Okay. Are you comfortable?
I don't know. We'll see. I'm a little nervous.
Oh, no. Just pretend like I'm not recording. It's just a Zoom, which we had talked right after Brody was born, but it was just I think it was just a phone call. We didn't do a Zoom or anything. And gosh, you came on the scene, just for those listening. This is Heather, and she's famous because your name has been said in so many episodes because you were there at the very beginning of everything. So right when my sister found out that Brody had died, she immediately called her friend Kat, who's your best friend. And because she had remembered that Kat had a friend that went through something similar. So Kat immediately was like, you've got to call Heather. And so Heather here, you coached my sister on pretty much everything to do. And it was everything from bring the outfit that you want him in and bring the stuffed animals and get the pictures and hold him and you get the video and do everything that you possibly can, get the baptism. It was everything because I looked at my sister and I was like, no, I'm not doing any of this. I want to get the hell out of here. I don't understand what's happening. I was in flight mode, trauma induced. And my sister was like, no, we're doing all this. Like Heather was adamant. So then we finally met a couple weeks ago at the event here in Atlanta. It was like so emotional. I was like, keep it cool, Catherine, keep it cool. So thank you so much for starters, for just being you and being open and transparent and very honest about your experiences. And so that's why I'm so thankful that you have agreed to chat with me, because your perspective in the way that you have relayed your information, your journey, your experience to me has been so wildly helpful. So I really think that it could be helpful for so many others. So thank you for doing this, even though it was a little uncomfortable.
No. People always ask me, do you mind to talk to this mom who just lost a baby? And even my cat, she called or texted and said, I hate to do this to you. I don't mean to upset you, but I have a friend and her sister is, about to deliver a baby. And, for me, the answer is always, of course I will. Like there's nothing in the world that would ever stop me or prevent me from reaching out and trying to help another mom or family. And so that's just a no-brainer for me. I want to be there. I want to give people hope and advice while either in the hospital and even on down the road. So it's never a burden. I feel like I do feel like that's sort of my purpose here, is to use my experience to try and help other people going through this, other family members, spouses, friends. So I'm always available.
Yeah, that's so appreciated and so special that you made that commitment. And you just celebrated Laura Caroline's 15th birthday. Is that right?
Yes. On September 15th, 2007, she was born. And so, yeah, this year marks 15. It just seems unbelievable. One, that much time has passed, and just to think about the person, the mom, the couple, in 2007 and fast forward to 2022, what life looks like now. It's my hope to give other people hope that happiness can be found. And I do think that, you're never the same. And I think that's completely fine. I think even though you're never the same, you're not quite whole, but you can be happy. And there is joy out there. And I think for me in those, darker days, beginning days, I question joy. Is it there? Would I ever feel it again? Is that even possible? And thankfully it is. And I just want every mom out there that's in these dark phases, beginning phases, middle phases, wherever they are, to know that I'm living proof that joy can exist.
I love that. And so that we can get perspective of, this is where you are at 15 years later. Will you take me all the way back to how you got here, where this started? What was Laura Caroline's pregnancy like? What was she like as a baby? I want you to start from the beginning and kind of give me the rundown of like where this all started.
Well, funny story here. It's been a few years and my brain memory is probably not as sharp as it once was. So I have gone back and read emails. I have talked to my husband for hours on end before speaking with you to sort of try to go back there and try to remember for your listeners, because the details are not on the forefront of my mind at this day and age. And so it's been super, super therapeutic and helpful to go back and sort of find details, document details that maybe I had forgotten about. So I thank you for that. I'm glad to be here today, and I'm glad to have, gone through everything or most of or what I can remember. So, well, I'll start out by saying that, we had trouble getting pregnant. We had done, less invasive fertility treatments and then eventually moved up to IVF. And so, we can, hopefully you'll edit that.
No, you're fine.
we did in vitro to get pregnant, and it was a rocky pregnancy from the start. I kind of relived this a little bit as I was thinking through it, and I still think it's truly unbelievable. But I had some bleeding early in my pregnancy. I was told at one point early on that I'd miscarried. So we all mourned the miscarriage of the baby that we all were praying for, because it was just so hard for me, and my friends and family knew that, like, we waited and, went through a lot of, appointments and medication and all that goes into in vitro, to have come up and, lost the baby. But we later found out that I was still pregnant.
Wait, hold on. They told you miscarried and you actually did not?
Yes. So I went in, I think it was maybe a Friday, had a sonogram. There was a heartbeat. We were like beyond thrilled. And then the next day I had some bleeding and I panicked, and my doctor, was able to see me and did an ultrasound, and he couldn't find a heartbeat. But, there was this big but because of the bleed and blood clot that was causing the blood clot was causing the bleeding. And so, he said, it could be behind that blood clot, but I'm thinking not. Go ahead. And for some reason, he told me, go ahead and take the medication that I was taking, to sustain the pregnancy. And so,
was that a blood
we went
thinner?
back on Monday. No, I think it was progesterone.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so we went back and just to double check, because he had taken labs and the labs were showing that there was still a pregnancy, progressing. And so we went back, and lo and behold, there was a heartbeat. And so we had to go back and tell everyone, hey, never mind. We actually are still pregnant. And I know It's unbelievable, but it happened another time, like a few days later, couldn't find it. And so it was a big roller coaster in the first trimester. And it's called a subchorionic bleed or hemorrhage. And it can be common for in vitro patients. So, but once we got through the first trimester, for the most part, everything was great. I didn't ever, question movement. I mean, everything seemed fine. We found out at 18 weeks that we were having a girl, and we were so excited about that. And then we, had baby shower in August, and my due date was August the 10th. And in September, we found out the baby was breech. And so I can't remember the week. But it was like, hey, let's see if the baby will turn. And then otherwise we need to consider or, schedule a C-section. So baby hadn't turned. So we scheduled a C-section for October the 1st, which would have been, I think, 39 weeks or something like that. And so, I, became okay with that. Wanted a healthy baby, didn't want to do anything dramatic to try to make the baby turn or anything like that. I mean, I think back then people were like having, I don't remember what it was called, but turning the baby in their stomach and all that.
Yeah.
And so that's fine. We went forward, and I do remember probably a week before the 15th, I I did feel a little decrease in movement, and I went to the doctor. I don't remember what day I went to the doctor, but I'm just going to call it Monday because I really do think it was that week. And so I went in, and my OB-GYN had advised me, next time if you're nervous, you need to go straight to the maternal observation unit at the hospital. And so, but she says that is normal. Babies, get bigger. They have less room to move around, and not to worry, but it put my mind at ease. And so the week goes on, and I did go back and look at like the dates and days. And I guess on Thursday, I realized at some point during the day, I haven't felt the baby moving as much. I don't remember the time of day, but at some time during that day, I think it was a Thursday, and I started to get a little anxious. And then I think I left work that day and tried to rest because I had a dinner to go to that night, and, tried to drink something cold, or I don't remember if I drank a Coke or whatever to try to get her to move. And, I do feel like you kind of psych yourself out sometimes, or I remember that happening to me where I thought, okay, I think that was something, I think that was a kick, or I think that was, how they tense up and, kind of get in a ball or whatever, and you can feel that. And so but I never was certain. It was nothing definite. And so I ended up going to this dinner, and I'm, visibly worried and panicked. And a friend of mine just said, she'd had 2 babies. They get big and they really just don't move as much in the end. And I was like, okay, I'm, going to hang on to that. And then I woke up in the middle of the night that night, and I was like, there's something terribly wrong. So I got up, I drank a Coca-Cola, I laid on the couch, and I was like, this is crazy. So got my husband up, and by that point it was becoming, light. And so we went to my OB-GYN's office, and we basically stalked the door until someone opened it, and they ran me back and put the Doppler on my stomach, and, of course did not hear anything. And, that's where the panic set in pretty quickly. And then, I don't even remember who did the sonogram. I think they pulled in a machine, I don't even remember, but I just remember, the confirmation of what we had feared, and just, dropped to my knees and screamed, and, truly thinking that this couldn't be possible. I really relived it yesterday, and thought to myself, I wanted to really go back and remember what I was thinking. And I truly thought, like, this has to be the nightmare that I'm waiting to wake up from. It has to be. It felt like that, like something that you just want to go away and turn off. And so, it's like an outer body experience. It truly is, because nobody at the time, I didn't know anyone personally who had lost a baby. I did have an acquaintance in town. And I remember she had a stillborn child, and she was a little bit older than me, and I still remember like hearing that she had lost a baby, and thought to myself, that's the most unbelievable thing I've ever heard, and God, I hope that would never happen to me or anybody else that I know.
So when this happened, did you have someone to reach out to guide you, or did you kind of figure this out as it went?
I did. I did. So, you'll probably hear this many, many times throughout our conversation, but my friends are truly like nothing else. I mean, they were my lifeline. They are my lifeline. I feel like the luckiest person in the world with my support group. My friends, have friends of friends. And there was a girl in Dallas, that had a son who was stillborn in May. So I think she was 4 months ahead of me. in the process, the grieving process. And we got to emailing once we live in Fort Worth, and my family lives in South Texas. And so we went there for the funeral. And once we got home, I ended up going to meet her in person in Dallas, which is very close. And we were really and truly one another's lifeline. I felt like that, at least from my point of view. And it was just to have somebody validate we called it the crazy thoughts, and not crazy like we were doing anything crazy, but it's just, can't even come up with an example, but you do just have like really outlandish things you think about. And, of course she was super helpful to listen, to my side of, the blame, there's just so much blame. And I think that's one of the things that I have, I guess, put away for so many years. I've tried to, I don't know about try to forget it or why, but I'm remembering the blame. It was so great. And I feel like she was just so good about talking through it and us talking through those feelings together. But there aren't very many of us out there. There's too many of us out there.
Yeah.
But there aren't very, it's not something that happens to everybody. And, my friends, my family took this very seriously. They, this wasn't a miscarriage. We lost a baby. We lost a baby that we were preparing for, that would, was otherwise healthy. And so I had a great support system through her and through all the people around me, frankly.
I'm happy to hear that. Were the doctors as supportive as your friends? What did they end up saying happened?
I've listened to all these wonderful women speak on your podcast, and I can't hear the cord around the neck enough. It's so alarming. But the cord was around her neck. She was breech. And I feel like I'm hearing breech a lot too. And the women you've been speaking to. So I don't know. I'd never really put a lot of thought into that, but I find it interesting to hear that seems like a common thread.
Yeah. Something about the turning action or something. Yeah. So I want to go back. You said that you had to actually dig up your memories because a lot of things you don't remember, like the details, which for me, 10 months out seems wild because I feel like I relive them every single day and I play them on repeat, which a lot of us do, especially soon after loss. But I'm curious, what was your grief like? You said that you did have that person that was helping you through it, who was 4 months ahead of you, and that you had a lot of blame. So at what point, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, at what point did you stop hashing out the details long enough to forget them? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's one of those things that just evolves into, it's never gone. I think I can't say that enough. I know I've already said it, but the grief is never gone. I've definitely shed some tears, kind of reliving these moments and really trying to dig into my memory. But I do think, I have gone on to have 3 children, and I feel like, that has been helpful. Just reiterating that joy is out there for all of us. I do think that that's helpful in sort of, it's not that the memories aren't gone. They're just not on the forefront. I guess I can't answer your question really. Like, it's hard for me to say. I don't know when that wasn't just the thought every second of every day. I did, and I've listened to a lot of women, again, on the podcast that says, I want to go have a baby right away. I wanted to have a baby right away. I wanted to get pregnant again. I also, and you and I haven't had that much one-on-one time to talk about this, but I was a little bit older than I would have liked to have been. And I had problems. I mean, I was never able to get pregnant on my own. And so I knew that there was that other layer and that I had to, I mean, we had multiple steps we had to get through to even think about having, another baby. And so I think that I really focused on that. I think that that was helpful, for me to sort of get my mind, going towards something else.
So how soon after, Laura Caroline, did you start to put the wheels in motion to get pregnant again?
As soon as I could.
Yeah.
We went in February. So
yeah,
she was born September 2007. We went in February of 2008. From the in vitro, we had two embryos, and one was excellent and one was so-so. So obviously we put in the excellent one, and that was Laura Caroline. And so we went back to use the frozen one, and it didn't go well in the thaw process. I don't know how else to say it. But anyway, and so I never really got pregnant with that baby. I think that, I think that there was implantation or what, I don't know, maybe scratch this part. And so after we went and put in, again, sorry, I want to use the right words, Kat. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
When we didn't get pregnant in February, we had to start a whole in vitro cycle over, meaning, retrieval and all the things. And that was super discouraging because that was just, again, prolonging the process. And so, but I pushed them hard, and I just said, okay, well, you just tell me as soon as I can go through and start, getting my body prepped and doing all the things. And so we did. I think we started the process in probably late May, early June of 2008. And then my son was born in February of 2009. And I think probably now, talking through all this with you, Kat, I think probably then is when things started to dull in my mind a little bit. The pain's still there, but my focus was a lot different, and it should have been a lot different. But I would probably say that. I'd probably say the birth of my first son, Preston, really just changed my focus and was for me, very healing.
Yeah. Did, you had said something to me at the event. You said something along the lines of, we do whatever it takes, because I'm facing some challenges and I'm going to have to face even more pregnant again. And you were telling me that women will just do whatever it takes to be a mom. So you had rough roads ahead. I mean, even after Laura Caroline, how did you tackle all of that on top of the grief? Or did you kind of recenter your focus on pregnancy for a while after her death?
Well, I think, after Preston, strangely enough, I ended up getting pregnant on my own, which was a very huge surprise. But that I didn't sustain the pregnancy. I had a miscarriage. And so then I just sort of was like, I felt even more determined that that I wanted to have multiple children. And I realized a lot of people, maybe that sounds greedy, maybe that sounds strange, but I'm an only child. And I had a great life. I had an amazing life, still do, but I just wanted my child to have siblings, and I wanted a house full of as many kids as God was willing to shower me with. And so I think I just after that, Preston's pregnancy was very challenging. Also, a lot of bed rest, and so I just felt like I just wasn't time to give up. I talked to Jeff for a very long time, my husband, on Monday night, and it was an amazing conversation. We just, again, sent him back in time. And I said, what is your message? And he said, perseverance, it's just, you don't give up. If whatever it's going to take to get you the baby or babies that you want. Is it another in vitro? Is it adoption? I mean, we were just, I will say it was more me. He would never have urged or pressured me to do anything that I wasn't already willing to do. So I will say I definitely had the driver's seat there, but we were just determined.
Were you guys always such a strong team from the beginning?
I think so. I mean, we've known each other since we were 10 years old. We started dating as seniors in high school, and we didn't go to the same colleges, so we had some breaks here and there, but we had known each other at the time for so long. I think we'd been married for 5 years. And one of the things that I think that I'm most proud of, and I really think that he is too, so we as a couple are how we navigated Laura Caroline's death together. And I feel like it's a bond that's unbreakable, and it's tragic, it's horrible, but all at the same time, like, I feel like there's a sense of just, it's just rock solid, as far as that goes, as far as that time of grief and looking back, and just, we did it together and it did not feel one-sided. I remember, so my aunt and my cousin, one of her sons, they both had babies that passed away shortly after birth. I don't know what happened with her baby. I don't think anybody did, because it was a very long time ago. But my cousin's baby had complications from genetic disorder. And so when we were at my parents' house and for the funeral and the reception after, my aunt and uncle looked at Jeff and myself, and as we were walking them out to their car, and they just said, and it just makes me choke up, but they said, this is either going to bring you closer together than ever, or it is going to tear you apart. You have to work on it. And I just was like, that's probably, that just sounded so profound. It sounded a little bit scary. It sounded a lot scary, because I'm thinking, I'm a mess already. And, still dealing with all the hormonal stuff and all the other things that come after having a baby. I'm just like, so I've got to get my head around my marriage now. And I feel like, but I took it, and I believed it. And I'm so glad I did, because it was the honest to goodness truth. And so from that point forward, we really vowed to do whatever it was going to take to, I don't think we were most worried about like the marriage, but helping each other. And so, we ended up going to a grief counselor, shortly thereafter. And we did have some one-on-one sessions with this person, but we really used it for couples counseling. And even though there wasn't a problem per se with our relationship at the time, aside, from the obvious, but we didn't have any, there wasn't anything that we were arguing about or didn't see eye to eye on. I felt like we were just doing it as a precaution, but it was so helpful. And it was so helpful for that person to sorry, I'm not saying the right word, Kat. It was real helpful for the counselor to get us through an entire conversation of feelings and give us some closure, rather than, if you say something at home, or, you don't get to finish the conversation for some reason. It was just a safe place for us, for her to ask us questions and us to answer them, frankly,
Right.
and for her to then sort of assess what it all meant and what we needed to be looking out for the other person. And
Right.
I think that was invaluable. I think that was the best thing that we ever did.
Yeah, it's so important. You guys put the work in to make sure it didn't bring you apart and made you even closer together. I mean, you said that you had like a really long conversation even about it 15 years later, just the other night, and that it's so important to establish that out the gate, but both of you making that that effort, that contribution to saying, we're both going to come in and do this and really work hard on it. I drug Michael to therapy. He's like, I don't have anything to say. And I'm like, you're just going to sit. You're just going to listen. You never know what's going to pop up. And I think that was important that he knew I cared what he thought. A lot of times we're very focused on what happened to us and that we're the only ones that are in this. And that's not true. Our partners are very much in it. So that's really important to do that. You had said that the grief, you don't really know at what point it kind of shifted to not being the forefront. Do you recall kind of the flip, kind of the honoring of Laura Caroline? What did that look like in the beginning? How did that progress over a decade and a half?
Well, I first off, I put pictures of her all over, not all over, but I put pictures up in our home, because I just felt like that was what was comforting. And I wanted to honor her and, let her know that I was proud of her. And I was so proud to be a mother because of her, because she is who made me a mother. Mm-hmm. And to me, that just felt like what any other mother would do, right? Like I tried to do the things, and I do remember writing this down, and I wanted to sort of carry on in some ways. I mean, not, I don't, for the fear of making myself sound crazy, but I just wanted it to feel like I was doing some of the things. Like for example, I worked on a scrapbook for her, and that was really hard and challenging. I ended up having a sweet girl finish it for me, but I gathered everything and asked for pictures of me when I was pregnant from all my friends and stuff like that. And I think that was probably the pictures, and then the scrapbook were the first things that I did that I felt like that was honoring her right off the bat. Yeah. And then, every September 15th, we have gotten pink balloons and have done balloon releases in our backyard. And, I wish I was doing more. I think life got a little bit busy. But I will say, Kat, that you, and Brody and Michael have truly, reignited my desire, and I want to help people. I want to help people honor their children or be a listening ear or whatever might be needed. And it makes me just think, I would like to do a better job of honoring her going forward. I don't think that we've done anything wrong, but I think that y'all have definitely are paving a way to make people realize that, continue these children's legacy and talk about them.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, I think what happens after the death of your firstborn is you kind of try to find purpose. Your purpose is gone. Your purpose of being the parent to a living child is gone. And so in the interim of me trying to be the mother to a living child and also being the mother to a dead child, I have put my efforts into certain things that have helped me, I think, parent him, keep his name going, do the best that I can still on earth. And so that is the podcast, that is being extremely vocal on my social media about this stuff. And that is now the foundation, because I we don't get to plan birthday parties for them. So to me, his birthday party was that event that we threw. And so, though, but you have me thinking a lot. I'm only 10 months out. I haven't even hit a year yet. I have started something that I have got to keep going. I can't stop. So right now, while the momentum is so fierce, I don't know what 15 years is going to look like for me, and to hear you say that it's reignited, I'm so ignited right now that I'm exhausting myself. So it's so interesting how this goes and how this changes. And, if you're listening and you haven't done, in your opinion, haven't done anything, that's not right. Everybody does the honoring of their babies the best that they can and the way that they want to do it. It's just a feeling that some of us have that is a little bit more aggressive in what we'd like to do and a little bit more out there than private. And so there's no right or wrong, though. Not one is right or one is wrong according to the other. So while I appreciate you saying that, I really have put myself in motion for something for the rest of my life. And I hope that I can do it. So if in 15 years from now, I'm going to need you to be like, get back to it if I start to fade,
Well, I definitely will. And I don't mean to beat up on myself. I definitely think that we've done a lot, and our friends are so great. They, will text us every September 15th. And I remember on her first birthday, we had, pretty much everyone that had been there for that first year had them over and basically had a party. And we've done that a few other times along the way. My friends have hosted stuff at their home. One year, I think it was year 10. One of my sweet friends, she had a surprise party, to, honor Laura Caroline.
Yeah.
And, so she's still always talked about. I will say, like, we talk about her in our home. My children know all about her.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. And they, when I say talk about her, they're like, okay, well, we're a family of 5, but then they say no, really 6. And then they add the cat and the dog, and it's pretty funny.
Aww.
But yeah, so it's just not it. I'm just so thankful for everybody's sake, your sake, even my sake, even being so far out that even, 15 years ago, it wasn't taboo, right? Like, people were open to come forward and help me and understand and read books and go to websites and learn and not be, I know that we've all experienced the deer in headlight person, the person who said the craziest stuff, the most, cruel things. But I do feel like, we do a good job. I do feel like
absolutely.
that, but it's just not at the same level. And like I said, I just admire y'all so much for what y'all are doing. And another thing I was involved with that, was a great thing, was this angel gown program. And I did not start it. I just helped on it. And, there is an organization in Fort Worth, and it's called NICU Helping Hands. And the founder of it, Lisa Grubbs, she had a great idea that's, some of these babies don't have clothes. Some of these babies don't have, clothes to be photographed in. And so she started this, donation of people sending in their old wedding gowns or new wedding gowns, whichever. And seamstresses use these garments to make little baby gowns. And it's so sweet.
Yes, I've heard of this. It's awesome. I love that. Are you getting involved with it?
I was. I again, maybe scratch all that part because I don't even know where she is in the thing. But
oh, that's funny. I had a question. Oh, yeah. So You had mentioned to me that you wish you had journaled or taken notes or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I find that so interesting because I had vowed to do 365 days after Brody's death. And I kind of stopped around 6 months because I don't know what happened. It wasn't therapeutic, but I'm going back to it now and I'm filling in the details of what happened. So tell me, why do you wish that you had done that? Do you feel like it's important that we do remember all the details, or is it better that we kind of let some of them go? I'm torn with that.
I think it's the former. I feel like, you can write them down, but you don't have to read them every day.
That's true.
They can always be there, just as a source, in cases like this. I want to be relevant, and I have the relevant history. It's just not, I just didn't do anything in writing to capture all of the feelings and all of the things. I will say this, I did, I did try to document the day, the day before, the day after. And it's the most tragic thing that will ever, God willing, hopefully happen to all of us. And, you're thinking, how could you not remember every detail? And I don't know that I didn't. I mean, now when I really sat down and wrote down, even 15 years later, I mean, I remember the smallest details, and so I just wish I had a little bit more of a crisper, clearer, outline of all of that. And honestly too, like, to be able to help you or anyone else in the future, I do want to remember, like, what happened thereafter, what was I thinking, maybe when, you posed the question to me that frankly, I don't think I was able to answer, is like, when did it not become on the forefront? And maybe that just, maybe that's when you stopped journaling as much as you did before. But I want, I want people to know that. I want people to know the details for, that are going through it, because I don't know, it validates everyone's feelings. And,
so life 15 years later, do you remember what the difference between this one and the first year? How it felt?
Do I remember
the grave difference? Yeah, violently different.
Violently.
Yeah.
Yes, it was dark. It was very dark. It was very lonely. It was very sad. I didn't have any issues with depression, but my anxiety was through the roof. And I think again, back to the conversation Jeff and I had, the blame. I don't remember all of that. And I think that was the other thing that we had to work through in counseling, is then, because he reminded me, then I was blaming myself for his pain. And I mean, I was just, going through all different ways to punish myself. And I can look back now, 15 years later, and know there is nothing I could have done different. I didn't eat any of the bad food. I never took a sip of alcohol. I didn't do anything wrong, nothing wrong. I didn't eat lunch meat. I mean, I didn't do anything. I didn't even really work out very much because I was afraid I might do something to harm the baby. But I can look back now and say, I didn't do anything wrong. I know I didn't do anything wrong. I did everything perfectly fine. And I've let myself off the hook with that one. And I have joy and I have happiness. And I do think, that seemed unattainable, unimaginable in 2007, truly. But, you mentioned something else a second ago, and I think I wrote this in an email to you and Kristina, your sister, after y'all's podcast aired. And, back to the, this reigniting my, passion to help other people. There is one of the themes for me is to find purpose for my pain. And I think if you just sit there and wallow in sadness and grief, it's just you're making it so much more painful on yourself when you could go out and do a scrapbook, make a scrapbook. You can, start a podcast. You can be more vocal and get yourself out there and, raise awareness. I wrote a blog, for, one of the programs here in Fort Worth, and that put myself out there. I mean, I don't know who all read it, but it was like putting myself out there and getting myself in sort of less comfortable positions. And that feels really good. I mean, it felt good to come to Atlanta and, support y'all and just whatever I can do to make my daughter and her life, mean something.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that purpose for the pain, or turn your pain into purpose. Actually, I like that. I think a lot of times we feel like we tell people, you don't have to do anything in the midst of your grief, but honestly, doing something does help. It helps the days go a little quicker. It distracts your thoughts and your minds from the blame, from the shame, from the anger, from the regret. It's important. And even if it's the smallest thing, just every day have something that brings purpose or that you can funnel your pain into. I think it is helpful. And I'm an advocate for that because it has helped me tremendously. I do want to ask you as well. I love that you are finding purpose and doing new things and reigniting. I think that's wonderful. And it's never too late in the grief journey. This is our story, and we can do whatever we want with it. So I'm curious as to, you said that you have joy in your life and you were able to overcome the blame. What did you actively do? Because it takes work. You don't just wake up one day and you're like, oh, I don't blame myself anymore. Or, oh, I have purpose. What did you actively do daily or weekly or monthly, or what was your process like in order to get to this point?
I think back in the beginning days, the counseling was super helpful. I think that, again, I can't say enough about my friends. I mean, they served as counselors to me, unbeknownst to them. They still do. They're still cheering me on. They're cheering me on, so excited that I'm finally vocalizing my story, or parts of our story, I don't know. I lost my train of thought.
Well, you actively made moves to do it. You chose to not wallow. You chose to not live in sorrow. You chose to start to feel better or start to do something with yourself in order to, well, first, A, move forward to have a living baby, and also B, to just kind of save yourself from the excruciating pain of the loss of Laura Caroline. So, making that decision to go to counseling is a big deal. Just making that active choice, seeking out the communication from your friends is a big deal. Some people, as good as they may have the best friends in the world, but if they don't seek out their support or let them know that they're needed, they're just going to be on an island by themselves in this whole thing. So making those decisions to let people help you is really important too, and I think that's one thing that you have to decide after loss. You have to pick yourself up one day and say, I need to try to have a happy life. I need to try to find, put my pain into purpose, like you said. I need to try to be a good wife and, eventually a good mother to a living baby. So, and that means you have to make those decisions on how you're going to get there. It doesn't just happen. And it doesn't come in the form of a person, and it doesn't just poof. It's not just like a genie pops up and you're like, oh, you're better. You have to put the work in. Counseling isn't easy, man. I sweat every time I go into counseling. I'm like, I tell this woman way too much shit, but it works for me. And just having an outlet and speaking to my partner, I will never not speak to him and tell him how I'm feeling. Bless his heart.
Well, I love that. And y'all listening to that podcast for me, it really reminds me of how Jeff and I handled this. I felt like all I heard, the resounding, the message I heard from you and Michael through and through the whole conversation was respect. Y'all respected each other. Y'all listened to what one another said, and you didn't there wasn't any judgment. And I felt like, oh my goodness, this couple reminds me of, Jeff and me when we were, however many months, down the road. It was just all about listening to him and him listening to me. And, again, finding, we put a lot of effort into our relationship and made sure that, it's hard. It's hard sometimes, but you have to be like, okay, I don't know why you're not sad today, but I am. But I guess I'll just understand that you're okay today.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to will someone to be sad just to make yourself feel better. But I do feel like too, this is just the age old answer, but I do think time really and truly, time gives you perspective, and time's not going to heal all the wounds. It will never heal everything, but time definitely is helpful for healing and, being able to reflect back and allow yourself the release of blame. And I think whenever you can get out of these, I don't know. I know we're all different. For me, it was real panicky and anxiety ridden. And, once you can somehow get yourself through that, I feel like you can start to really use your brain and say, okay, this is not reasonable.
Yeah. I think your insight 15 years later, whether you believe it or not, is so vital. I talk to women who are 3 weeks out. I talk to women who are 3 months out. I talk to women who are days out. I mean, it sounds impossible when they hear you talking like this. It really does. And I even remember back to the first week, I thought that I was never, ever going to emerge from my house or laugh again or work again or do anything of any sort. The anger was all consuming. The blame was borderline crippling. Mm-hmm. It was horrific. And with time, like you said, and making that conscious effort that I have to try to live life that Brody would be proud of. And I think when people hear you talking like this 15 years later, it sounds almost like we can exhale. We can say, okay, I just have to hold on a little bit longer. I just have to make sure I understand my grief. I recognize for how it feels right now, but it's not always going to feel this way. And that is so important that everybody understands that we will be okay. We will feel differently. It will always be there. Like you said, it'll never go away because you will always love Laura Caroline. I'll always love Brody. As long as we love our babies, we will always grieve their deaths. But it will not always be this excruciating. And that is so promising to hear from somebody who knows how we feel. You were here. You did this, And I think it's really important. So I thank you so much for your perspective. And I think that all the tips and things that you have said about putting in the work and doing the counseling and talking to your partner and, turning your pain into purpose, so important. So I thank you so much for being open about it.
Of course. I've really enjoyed this. And, again, my message is hope. There's hope, and you got to hang on to it. And some days you just don't know how that's possible, but you have to go forward and have hope and just.
Oh,
shoot. I'm sorry.
Do whatever it takes.
Well, I'm sorry. Somebody was calling it. Messed it up.
You're okay. I know you're busy. You're at work, right?
I'm at work, but somebody was calling in, so I messed it up. But anyway, I would like to, my message here today is hope. And I hope that every woman out there that is just starting this journey or is a day or a year or 10 years out continues to hang on to hope for whatever that is. And I think that, again, just want to reiterate that you will be happy again. I promise.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And again, thank you for all your efforts. I don't know what life would have been like if I had something like this podcast to listen to. I think it could have just been a game changer because I do think everyone is seeking validation for their feelings and finding some true empathy that truly nobody except for this group of us has. Much as
Yeah.
people love us, it's impossible to have true empathy.
Yeah, no, it's true. It takes someone who has been there to really empathize and to really speak the same language. And on the flip, I don't know what my life would have looked like if you hadn't have jumped at the chance to tell my sister what to do, because I don't have much regret from the day of because of you. And if I did, on top of all the regret I already have, it would just be way, way more excruciating than it is. So thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
Can't thank you enough.
well,
You're a good
thank
friend.
you.
I'm happy to be friends.
I know. And we finally met. So we'll have to
Yeah,
meet up again sometime soon.
I would love that. We need a fun weekend, and with Kat too. We'll get Kat here in Atlanta, and we'll do something great. So in honor of our babes too, because I know Laura Caroline was like, Brody, I'm showing you around. I've been here for a minute. These are the cool people. Don't do that. I love that. I love that idea. That makes me feel comfortable that he had a friend on his way up there.
Me too.
Yeah, so beautiful. Okay, so I'm trying to get this up tomorrow. So I'm going to try to get it to you before then, but just trust my judgment. Okay. I'm never going to put on anything that I think sounds weird or bad. I'm going to cut out, I'm not going to cut out much of the imperfections because I like them. And people really like them. So I am going to do my best to edit this and get this out. It usually goes up tomorrow morning, but I'm going to get it to you. And if you want to listen to it, you can. If you don't worry about it.
No, I do.
Okay. That's totally fine.
I just don't like it when I'm losing my train of thought because my mind, as you can imagine, there are 1 million things that I'm thinking of with all of your questions. And I'm trying to pick the right thing to answer.
No, totally. I think you did great. Yeah. It's great. And but here's the thing. That's so real. We don't know. We don't formulate these thoughts on the daily. You know, it's not like asking us what we want for lunch. Sometimes that question is even easier. So it's like you just getting that thought process, and I'll cut out the time between you answering it. And that's fine. Like if it's too long, I'll cut it.
Yeah. Or if I say, please cut it or whatever.
Yeah. I'll cut that out.
And if you have if there's anything like, I don't know if this happens, but if you want to if you need to fill in anything, let me know. I don't know. I felt like I didn't do a very good job of answering some of your questions, but I think that there's a reason why I couldn't answer them, you know?
Yeah, no, you're fine. And it's just conversation. It was basically just things I was curious about. And if there's no answer, there's no answer. And if there's no clear answer, even better, because I'm still learning myself. So you're basically just hearing me trying to figure it out at the same time while there's people are figuring it out too. But thank you for doing this. And it's I know it's not easy, but you did great. You did awesome. And it's so just, all it is just your take on it. And it's so important. And believe it or not, people resonate with it. They really do. So
I love it. And again, I love all you're doing. And I don't mind talking about this at all. I really, and it's something I could probably talk about for days, but, again, just thank you. You have no idea how impressed I am by you and what you're doing this soon thereafter. And you're changing people's lives. And I'm not exaggerating. So,
oh my God, thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. It's saved me. So I appreciate you saying that it's maybe saved some others. So at least we can do at this point, but that woman in Texas, I've heard of her. I'm actually going to try to get her on the show. We have a connection. But I love
Lisa.
Yeah. I think it's Lisa. I'll double check, but I have somebody there who is like, you need to know this woman. She makes baby outfits. Actually, I don't know if she makes them. I think she donates them, but I'll double check that. But stuff like that's awesome. Like getting involved, hospitals, it's the bereavement care is where it's at.
I know. I kind of wish I'd have said more about that, but the thing about it is the woman who started this, I was actually on the board. And that's how I got involved. But I think she had some personal issues or whatever, and then everything kind of disbanded. And so I don't know where it stands today. So that's why I kind of am like, I just that part where I was like, kind of left it open ended because I really don't know what's going on. I don't want it to sound like I don't.
Yeah, no, I'll re-listen.
She hasn't made it clear.
Yeah.
Because it makes it sound like if I don't know what she's doing, then that makes it sound like, she's not doing her job.
No. Oh yeah, no. I'll edit it to make sure it doesn't sound like that. But Okay, awesome. I'll usually just like send the link for the Dropbox, but I'm actually gonna sit and do this right now. So I should
Okay.
hopefully have it to you in the next hour or so.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, if there anything else needs to fill in, I'm here. Now that I have
Okay.
my audio, I'll figure it out. I'm ready to go.
You're
When's
a
the
pro
next
now.
one?
I know. Let's do it. Yeah. And I like your idea of having Jeff on it too. So we'll consider that. Maybe, I've got December booked, but like maybe next year, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I love
Whatever.
it. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Love
Thank
you,
you, girl.
friend.
Love you,
All
friend. Talk
right.
soon. Bye.
Bye.